Make sure your child can live life to the fullest. Apply for a Sagicor Life Child Protector Critical Illness Plan today. The time by Sagicor Life is...
Hey folks, 7 o'clock on the family station, Love 101. It's time for the Morning Watch with Reverend Dr. Alan Toussaint.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, protecting children from online gaming, evaluating the restrictions in China. And in the second watch, the Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger worldwide outages, lessons learned. For our social media question, we ask, what lessons, if any, did you learn from the recent social media apps outage? Please share your responses on our Facebook page, Love 101 FM, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I quote.
This morning's I quote, being happy never goes out of style. That's according to Lilly.
Good morning, Shavani.
Good morning, Rev. How are you?
You know, I'm doing well, my brother. And you?
Good, thank you. Good.
Yeah, on the whole matter of happiness, I gather that many persons across the world were not happy on Monday with the social media outages. What about you?
I mean, I was okay. I survived. I was fine.
I literally thought about you. I said, I wonder how is Chef managing with these outages. Good, but you survived.
I did.
Yeah, okay. Thumbs up to you, brother. Bless you. All right. The first watch will be back after this break.
I am Commissioner Devon Horton, Territorial Commander of the Salvation Army in the 16 countries that comprises the Caribbean Territory. And I stand in solidarity with my brothers and sisters in encouraging every Jamaican to be vaccinated. I am fully vaccinated. My wife is fully vaccinated, and our daughter is now in line for her second jab. Also, my siblings, all my 6 brothers and my sister are all fully vaccinated. I know the importance and the value of being vaccinated. I have watched and see so many of our people become very, very ill and even pass on as a result of this COVID virus. So I stand here in full support of being fully vaccinated, and those who I lead as it relates to the church, they are aware of my position and they also realize the value of this. So get vaccinated and let's move on with life. God bless you.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, do you know what your child is doing when on the internet? Whether it be on their phones or computer? It's not a new concern, but it's an ongoing one. protecting and monitoring our children who have access to the internet. This morning, we are focusing on our children and online gaming. What are the challenges and concerns? What protection can be given as we examine a recent online policy established in China? To answer these and other related questions, we have online Mrs. Sandra Faulkner, former Senator, Minister of Information and Cultural Affairs, and presently a communications consultant, as well as Mrs. Betty Ann Blaine, founder of Hear the Children's Cry. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Mrs. Betty Ann Blaine, are you on?
I'm on.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you. Good morning.
Good. All right, morning to you both. Good to have you on with us this morning.
Morning, Betty Ann.
Hi. Haven't seen or heard you in a long time. Good to see you.
It's good to see you. I'm alive and well.
Very
All right.
good. Happy to hear that. Yeah, God
Good.
is good. Yeah.
God is great. Yes, indeed.
All right, ladies. Mrs. Faulkner, you recently wrote a newspaper article on the importance of protecting children from the dangers of online gaming. What does online gaming consist of? And why did you feel the need to write such an article?
Well, I was reading an article from Xinhua News Agency, and they raised the issue of the policy that China just introduced. And I thought it was interesting. And because I have a nephew who is 17 years old, and I have another nephew who is 14 years old, and I see how interested they are in gaming and how focused they are on their online games. And so I thought it was interesting. And I've also spoken to many of my friends who have children, and some of them will tell you it is so difficult to get the kids to study and to do other things and away from the online game. So I felt I needed to say something and to perhaps encourage the Jamaican government to see what we can do to help our parents and to help our children in navigating the dangers of online gaming. Because there is no doubt that, kids can find there are so many games on the internet.
Yes.
So many. And there are so many ways that these gaming companies lure children and get them in. They have the slick advertisements, and they have all kinds of encouragement that they get the kids in, and then when they get them in, they're hooked. And it's difficult to get them back into a normal routine and to focus on things like schoolwork, playing games on the outside, developing a social structure. And so I thought, it's something we need to have a conversation about, because
Right.
all our kids in Jamaica now, from sometimes kids who are younger than 10, now have access to smartphones.
Right. Yes. But for clarification, online gaming is not gambling in this regard.
No, it's not. Some of it
Not
can.
necessarily gambling.
Some of it can almost be characterized as gambling, because some of it with the kids, they are encouraged to pay money for certain things, to have access to certain things, and it's really a gray area in my view. But
Okay.
in the strictest sense, it's not gambling as we know it.
Right. So it could be any game. Really.
Yes.
Okay.
And
All right.
and they pay for different things. They pay for access. They when you play and you run out of the free games they give you, then you have to buy points, and it's challenging.
Mrs. Blaine,
Yeah. Yes.
anecdotally, how widespread do you think the practice of online gaming among children is? And what are your concerns in this regard?
Well, I don't know
In the
exactly.
Jamaican
Maybe
context.
Sandra would know better than me. We have not really, this is not an area that we at Hear the Children's Cry have been focusing on specifically. But I can tell you, as advocates, we recognized and feared a very, very long time ago. We feared the impact, the negative impact of the internet, generally speaking, because game isn't only one of the hazards, when you look at the broader issues, the negative impact of social media, the internet, smartphones on our children, it's really, really scary. It
Uh-huh.
is. And children, in my view, are becoming increasingly an endangered species as a result of the internet, social media, and the other. I mean, I am sure we have all been paying attention to what's happening with Facebook now, and the fact that a whistleblower, I'm sure we all have heard that the whistleblower was before the US Congress yesterday,
Uh-huh.
talking about the fact that Facebook is well aware that the algorithms and that its platforms have negative, I mean, the Instagram and teenagers and teenage girls and the problem of increasing incidents of suicide among teenage girls as a result of Instagram, what's been posted on Instagram. It's a very serious thing. And Sandra, I really want to thank you for putting the spotlight on this issue, because it has to become a we have to have a national dialogue about how the internet is impacting our children negatively. Dr. Remember, it's not just a Jamaica problem. This is a global issue. And just specifically to talk about the gaming, the World Health Organization officially recognized gaming addiction, because there's such a thing now as gaming addiction and gaming disorders among children. The WHO has recognized it as a mental health condition. This is no joke. This
Yes.
is very, very serious.
Absolutely, Betty, you're absolutely correct. And I want to make a point as well, just in relation to gaming, but not only gaming. The internet is a community. Online gaming has communities. And we don't know who may be coming into these communities and these groups. They may be adults who are posing as children. And so the
Predators.
children go and they play game, they develop friendships,
Yeah.
and we don't know who they are
Exactly.
developing friendships with. And that's why I was so intrigued by
Exactly.
what China did. Their new policy is children cannot play online games any other time but Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays between 8 and 9 p.m. and on public holidays. And there are strict rules about how the children can enter these gaming rooms. They have to have their identification, they have to have their age, they can't use fake profiles. And I think that is very, very critical, because that way you can root out those who may want to prey on children and pretend that they are. And with every system, there are people who game the system. But I think to the extent that we can, we must find ways to protect our children. It cannot be a free for all. And especially in Jamaica, we know that many of our parents are not tech savvy.
Right.
So the kids get the smartphones, and the parents don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
Someone told me recently that her son, in fact, she called me when she saw the article, and she told me she had to remove the door of the room, her son's room, so that she could know that he's not in there at nights on his computer. And because she wanted to make sure that she could see what he's doing.
Yeah, Sandra, the thing about, I've been watching what China's been doing regarding this protecting children. The thing about China is that China is a totalitarian regime, as we know, right? It's easier for a country like China to impose regulations and restrictions, which is what they've done.
Right.
And I found it very interesting. They don't have opposing parties and opposing groups and all of those things. It's easier for them. However, I agree with Sandra. We in Jamaica must do something. We can't just do nothing. I mean, I hear people
Tell you
talking now about.
Tell you what, Mrs. Blaine.
Yeah.
Blaine. We're up on a break. Could you just hold that thought? We'll be right back.
Right, sure.
Between 2015 and 2020, there were 74,455 reports of child abuse in Jamaica. Report child abuse. Call 211.
The time brought to you by Child Protection Services is
7:15.
It's time to take your home somewhere unexpected. And at Active Home Center, it's our job to help you do just that. With our wide range of home finishes and on-trend styles, you'll find a great selection for your space. Shop tiles in different styles, contemporary bathroom fixtures, kitchen and appliances, the latest in furniture, lighting, and so much more. Visit our showroom at 84 Constant Spring Road or online at activehomecenter.com. Your one-stop shop for home finishes. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
Shake and go with true shake. Shake and go. Grab a true shake and go. When me have to put in the work, but I'm moving slow. Grab a true shake and go. School time and on joke time. Office study hard, brain full time. Grab a true shake and go. When we up in the gym, we have to stay healthy and fit. Grab a true shake and go. Shake and go with true shake. Packed with 9 grams of protein, 24 key vitamins and minerals to keep you going. Grab a true shake and go.
49 years later and still going strong, Under the Law helps you to know your rights and how the laws of Jamaica can help you defend those rights. The program is brought to you on Wednesdays by the Bank of Jamaica, building an inclusive economy. Under the Law, Wednesdays at 6:20 a.m., 2:35, 6:45, and 9:10 p.m. on Love 101 FM.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this, the first watch, we are discussing the whole matter of online gaming. We are seeking to protect our children from the dangers of online gaming. And we have online Mrs. Sandra Faulkner and Mrs. Betty Ann Blaine. Mrs. Blaine, before the break, you were expressing your concerns and your response in regards to the China model. Mrs. Blaine? I'm not hearing Mrs. Blaine. I know that she's on. I'm not hearing her. Mrs. Faulkner, are you still here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm not hearing Mrs.
Right.
Blaine at all. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, hearing you now. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I was just saying that China can impose restrictions, I imagine, much easier than other countries.
Right.
However, we in Jamaica, we are not, in other words, it's important that we now look at what we can do. Sandra mentioned that this parent cited this parent who had to take the door off her son's room so that she would know, if he's sleeping at night, if what he's doing on his phone. Parents are having a hard time with this, very, very hard time. And I just want to say this gaming addiction or gaming disorder, which is now becoming a very, very serious thing, mental health condition. We're seeing now where children, if you try to take their phones or if you try to limit them in any way, these are children with gaming disorders. They become aggressive. Some of the other symptoms we're seeing is that children, they don't sleep. They're not sleeping at night. They don't eat. They're on their phones playing games, and they are not even hungry. They don't want to eat. I sometimes have to say to my own grandchildren, do not eat the screens anymore today. Don't
Yes,
You're
eat the screens
absolutely right.
anymore. It's a huge problem.
yes. But let me
In fact,
ask you though. Go ahead, Mrs. Faulkner.
Reverend,
Uh-huh.
just a few days ago, a teacher told me that he is aware of a child who played his game for a day and a half, never ate.
Mm.
Just
Yeah.
play the game
Addiction,
a day and a
addiction,
half. Yes.
addiction.
And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it is and that is in our Jamaica. So we have to make
Yeah.
sure, and Betty spoke about she's not sure what we can do. I've spoken to a few people who say there are things that we can do to put in restrictions. And I think we have to explore whatever there is. I'm not the most technical person that can, but we have to make sure whether it is, and we have to make sure that we explore all areas that we can use to help our children. And we have to educate our parents as well.
But
I know some they want to give the children the latest phones, and yes, everybody wants to do best for all their children, but you have to look at whether or not your child at 7 years old or 9 years old is ready to have a smartphone. Yes, you may want your child to have a phone to have access to you, and if they're at school, they can call you. Does that child need a smartphone? And there
yeah.
are certain things that we have to do. You have to make sure that your children, there's a balance, that they're not always on the tablet or the phone or the computer, that they have some time to play games. When we were young children, we were out during the holiday, we were playing games for
Mm,
almost the entire day. You probably just go inside to have lunch
mm.
or dinner, but you play games. A lot of our children now, there is, especially in the summer when they are home, there is very little physical activity for our children. And as Betty said, they're becoming aggressive when you restrict them. We can't allow our children to be mothered and fathered by technology.
But Mrs. Faulkner, in the article you wrote, I believe that you said that you agree with the China policy, right?
Absolutely.
Right, but couldn't it be argued that it's overreach on the part of the government and it
Well,
affects
you know,
its censorship?
a friend of mine raised that issue with me and said, you know, it's a parent's job to
Yeah.
manage their children. And yes, that is true. But in our context, many of our parents here in Jamaica, they have no clue what the children are doing because they themselves are not familiar with the gaming. They are not familiar. They are not online. They are not on social media. And these children are tech savvy. So how it is we are going to help our parents, how it is we are going to mold the next generation. Government must have a responsibility. And I'm not talking about censorship. Children are children. Children under the age of 18 must be monitored. And therefore, I
But
would not look at
they
that
would
as
argue that's the
sense.
parents. That's the parents' right, they would say. The
But how
parents
can
have their
we
own
help
rights
the
to do that.
parents? How can we help the parents to do a better job of protecting their children from the dangers of online gaming? And when we talk about online gaming, you know, some of those games are not clean games. And
Right.
and Betty spoke to that. Some of those things include pornography.
Yes.
So it's kind of a chicken and an egg situation. What do you do? Because we have a role as adults and as government to protect the children. And sometimes some things have to give.
Mrs. Blaine, what's your take on that? You
Well,
agree with the China model?
I prefer overreach than underreach, to tell you the truth.
What about
I
the middle
mean,
road? What about the middle road?
so look, this is a serious conversation we're having.
Right.
Children are dying as a result of what they're exposed to on the internet. Children are developing all kinds of disorders. This is not funny. This is not funny at all. This is overreach, really. Who could even accuse anybody in a case like this, any country, of overreach? We must protect the children. And in Jamaica, we have problems that are not as bad as perhaps other countries in terms of the family life, the teenage pregnancy, teenage parents, the problem that a lot of parents have to go out every day and hustle for their existence. The children are on their own. They're not being supervised. We have a lot of problems when we talk about parenting and parenting responsibility in Jamaica. We've got to dissect this thing piece by piece. I suspect that I'm suggesting that one good way right now is that we can begin to mount a public education campaign warning parents about these risks and harms to their children and warning the children as well about this. But we have problems here. We have a family crisis in Jamaica. We have a parenting crisis in Jamaica. And if we're going to tackle this problem of online gaming, gaming disorders, and gaming addictions, we have got to put it in the context of the broader problems we have with the structures in our country, family structures, poverty, all these things that affect what we are discussing this morning.
I agree with Betty 100% on everything that she just said. And let me add, she spoke earlier about the issues with Facebook, Instagram that were discussed yesterday in Congress. And one of the issues that came up, and we all know, Betty, you and I are on social media. Reverend, I don't know if you are on social media as we are, but even in the context of when you're on a platform like Facebook, and when people are discussing issues, just the harshness, how the attacks, the personal attacks. So just imagine an impressionable teenager, impressionable teenage girl who has insecurities, and she's on Instagram. She is trying to belong. So she's doing and then you have people who come out, the trolls that come out, they attack her. What that does to her self-esteem.
That's right. And they're committing suicide.
Absolutely. These are serious issues that we have to deal with. And Betty's suggestion, and I think I said it earlier as well, we have to have public education campaigns. We can't just speak about access to the internet. We have to say, look at how we protect our people, because access is one thing, but when you give people access, unbridled access, and then they are destroyed in the process because they have that access to the evil, the good. And yes, the internet is good. I support it. I use it for my business, everything. But we also have to look at the dangers, especially for our most vulnerable, our children.
Let me just, as we close, we have 2 minutes. I'm just wondering though. I mentioned about the middle ground. Okay, Betty had mentioned about it's not funny. I wasn't trying to be funny by that. Okay.
No. Didn't mean to. I didn't think you are being. I don't think you're being funny.
What do I want us to understand is you're gonna have the human rights people, all right, arguing that with censorship you are actually minimizing the rights of our people. And therefore, I'm asking, where do we draw the line? Because also, if you have censorship from the government, with what's happening in the world today, even religious rights will be curtailed, right? Where do we draw the line?
Well, children must be protected because they are children. I know that there's talk now, and Sandra mentioned it, about these smartphones. What age should children have smartphones? That we should start discussing that, right? Some people are saying they should not have smartphones up till they're over 16 years old. That's what people are saying now. Those are the discussions people are having because of how very, very serious this
Do
thing
you
is.
agree with
We
that? Do
protect
you agree
children
with
by
that?
law
Slim?
from alcohol,
Slim, do you agree
certain
with that?
things children cannot do till they get to a certain age.
Yeah, do you agree with that? That it's age 16 before you should have a smartphone?
You're asking me if I agree?
Yes.
This is something I've now begun to think about. I don't know exactly, but I'm simply saying that I don't believe children under a certain age should have access to smartphones. That's one of the things parents can do, you know, and we say children can,
half a minute, Mrs. Faulkner, half a minute.
No, I agree with Betty on that. And guess what? Nobody wants to censor people, censor religion. I am one who believes in freedom of religion, freedom of expression. But I think when we are talking about our children, we have to draw the line and we have to decide maybe we can start with public education and offering some kind of support for parents who may need help with their children. And then we can have discussions and take it from there. But it is a discussion we must have, and we must have a plan to fix the problems and the fallout.
Yes, and we're happy that we have had the discussion. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us. Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you too. God bless.
Have a great day. God bless.
Thank you. Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
You're tuned to Love 101, the family station at 7:31.
Munchie! Yes, Boss Oliver! I'm heading out now. Straight to Cars out to Montego Bay.
The entire Jamaica is heading to Cars Auto.
About variety. Aye. And the vehicle them clean as a whistle and the price right. A two where them say good quality, best price.
Cars Auto.
I am Phyllis Smith Seymour, President of the Moravian Church in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. I have taken the vaccine. The government of Jamaica is playing its part in accessing, supplying, and making vaccines available to all citizens. This is in an effort to minimize the transmission and spread of the COVID virus. We all want our country to return to normalcy, face-to-face school, increased attendance at church, no lockdown days, no curfew, opening up of businesses and other facilities. We must all take the vaccine. We must encourage family and others to take the vaccine. We must follow the established protocols, mask wearing, distancing, sanitizing to manage and eliminate COVID-19.
Excuse me, sir. How much patty you are buying?
Me no know.
Me think you should buy 5.
Why? Why me fi buy 5?
Could you see patty have a cheesy surprise?
When you buy any 5 juicy patties, you can cheese it up for free.
Yeah, all 5 patty full of cheese. And it's anchor cheese, you know.
And did I tell you it's only for the month of October?
So you better run go down there fast.
Right now, cheese! Cheese it up. Upgrade 5 patties of cheese for free today. With juicy patties. Conditions apply.
Since the start of the year, there have been 600 reports of emotional abuse, 1,203 reports of sexual abuse, 1,465 reports of physical abuse, 2,528 reports of neglect.
Report child abuse. Call 211.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Normally, we would have a look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing, but I have not received such. So coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question.
Well, I guess we can go straight
What
to the
lessons, if
Rev.
any, did you learn from the recent social media apps outage? Please leave a comment on our Facebook page, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Soon come back.
No, we'll do them now, Rev, since we...
If you have them,
Yes.
go ahead.
So
Okay.
Stephanie says, well, the game thing is serious. Where I work, the security at the main entrance, you must pay to come in, where, you have to pass him, and if he doesn't see you, then it's an issue. All right, I think that's what she's saying there. This one says, interesting topic. My son is addicted to the game. Every week his dad, would send him gift card to access games online. Or if ever fall asleep before him, he'd stay up all night. It's really sad.
Yeah.
This one says, quite informative. Thank you so much. Let me see the people on Facebook saying, interesting, wonderful. This one says, yes, they're threatening to kill themselves if you take the phones away. True, that's Paul Mac. All right, so keep the conversation going, folks. Yeah, we'll take a break. When we come back, much more. This is Love 101.
There is an easy way for insurance coverage today with no line in your way. All you have to say is
Genac.com. Everything you have is everything you have. So keep your assets covered and save 10% off your insurance when you renew by visiting Genac.com. You don't need to go into a branch. You can do just about everything online at genac.com. Remember, smart insurance saves. Who knows what tomorrow brings? So future-proof everything.
insurance on the go. Trust the brand that you know.
genac.com.
All you have to say is Genac.com.
General Accident Insurance Company. Future-proofing tomorrow.
Your rundown and fried dumpling tastes extra nice. It's new pack coconut oil you use.
You mean new pack everything? I use new pack coconut milk powder and then new seasonings in the rundown. Them all start sell flour. It's that and the coconut oil sweet up the dumpling.
New pack have more products?
Yes, child. And you know new pack are my brand from a long time.
True. You always talk about the quality and affordability.
Create something special with New Pack. New Pack, more than just value.
There is an easy way for insurance coverage today with no line in your way. All you have to say is
Genac.com. Everything you have is everything you have. So keep your assets covered and save 10% off your insurance when you renew by visiting Genac.com. You don't need to go into a branch. You can do just about everything online at genac.com. Remember, smart insurance saves. Who knows what tomorrow brings? So future-proof everything.
insurance on the go. Trust the brand that you know.
genac.com.
All you have to say is Genac.com.
General Accident Insurance Company. Future-proofing tomorrow.
Welcome back, Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. We now segue into the second watch. Now, on Monday, October 4, billions of users of Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, and WhatsApp experienced an outage. And there were reports of mayhem at the Facebook headquarters as shares plummeted and as technicians scrambled to fix the problem. It took about 7 hours for them to do so, partly because those technicians reportedly couldn't get into the building. Now, that outage had many negative effects. But ultimately, we are asking this morning, what were the lessons learned? Or what are the lessons that need to be learned? Well, to discuss these and other related matters, we have joining us Mr. Christopher Record, CEO of T-Tech Limited, and Mr. Craig Powell, CEO of, is it AD Intelligence or Adtelligence? He'll tell us. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us here.
Is it AD Intelligence or Adtelligence?
It's Adtelligent.
Adtelligent, okay.
Like intelligent with AD in front of it. So,
Yes,
intelligent
right.
advertising.
Okay, good. Good to have you both with us. Well, Monday was quite a day. Gentlemen, before we delve into the discussion, though, let me ask, what is your understanding of the cause or reasons for the outages of those social media platforms on Monday? Beginning with you, Mr. Record.
Hi, Dr. Toussaint. Yeah, on Monday,
Bless
what
you.
we understand so far, what caused the outage is a server out. Well, let's call it a set of servers that act as the traffic cop for directing traffic in and out of the organization. The technology is called Domain Name Service (DNS). So what we understand is that the DNS services, the servers were being updated, and something went wrong with the update, and all of their DNS infrastructure just disappeared. So that's a simplified version of what caused the outage. Now, one of the challenges is that same DNS system that points the traffic to where how to find Facebook, how to find Instagram, how to find all the various apps, is also the same system that the engineers need to log in remotely. So they couldn't log in remotely. So now people had to jump in the car and drive down to the data center. And of course, some reports are when they got to the data center, it's the same system that authenticates their identification so that when they swipe the card, they couldn't get into the data center. So it's a domino effect of technology challenges that, quite frankly, are not unlike technology challenges that local businesses face sometimes when updating servers. But this one, because they have, as you said a while ago, billions and billions of users globally, the effects were way more far-reaching.
Yeah. Mr. Paul, there are persons who are wondering about the Facebook whistleblower issue.
Yes.
If that was also a reason behind all of it in some.
So I'm not the conspiracy theorist, but I actually do believe that it's so unlikely that a massive corporation with 3 billion users, with all the money in the world and all the experts, can actually make a mistake such as this so easily. And the coincidence of it happening on the same day when they have this massive whistleblower thing come out, it just seems so unlikely to me. That's why I would put my bet, if I'm a betting man, to say it might have been purposeful, or maybe it was somebody else who maliciously did this. I mean, to think about
Or coincidental. It's not coincidental.
No, I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence like this. Not something so massive. 3 billion users. And think about what Chris is saying. The DNS system is essentially like a phone book. Like, you know how if I was to call you, Dr. Toussaint, I wouldn't necessarily know what your cell phone number is. I just see Dr. Toussaint on my phone. That's the same thing with the websites. You just see www.facebook.com, but that actually represents an IP address or a specific set of numbers of where the Facebook is actually located on the web. Now, when the DNS thing disappeared, it means that when you type in Facebook, none of the web actually knew where Facebook actually was in terms of the IP address. So it's like saying, hey, I live on a certain address, like Craig Paul is over here, but then all of a sudden the whole world forgets where does Craig Paul actually live. So when you type in Facebook, it just let you know where, which would obviously break down all their systems because that email address that you'd log in, like my email for Intelligent uses Intelligence domain, that wouldn't work. And if you're logging for a system, uses the verification of your email address or something, all those things wouldn't work. The physical building would also use the same domain. Everything would just kind of mash up and go to hell. But that seems so crazy to me to believe that a big, $1 trillion company, right, could make such a mistake. If by accident, I mean, it's just like
You're not buying it. You're not buying it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm buying that. That doesn't seem very likely to me. So,
Craig, it's a conspiracy theory, man.
We'll leave that alone. Mr. Record, as far as you know, approximately how many persons worldwide would have been affected by Monday's outages, and in what ways?
All right, so the reports are calling different numbers, and what I think is happening is that people are double counting and triple counting. And as I said to a group of folks last night, I said, yes, I have a Facebook account, I have a WhatsApp account, I have 2 WhatsApp accounts, and I also have Instagram account and all that. So one set of numbers are saying 3 billion, the other set of numbers are saying 6 billion. So the 6 billion number, I think, is double and triple counting. So let's hover around the 3.5, 3.6 billion users globally across all the various services. So So we're talking Facebook proper, we're talking Instagram and all the various Instagram services, we're talking WhatsApp, and of course WhatsApp, there's WhatsApp and WhatsApp Business. And again, and as I said, I have multiple accounts on those platforms. So how were people affected? As the examples we gave a while ago, many of us use Facebook to log into different applications that we use daily. Purposely, it's not my practice. I've always used my own email address. So for example, give you an example of that. You sign up for a service, and in signing up for that service, you're given an option on your screen when you're registering. Register with Google, register with Facebook, register with an email. And so for ease of access, convenience, which is what a lot of these services allow us to do, we just click on the one that is easier for us, log in with Facebook. Now, if anyone is using Facebook, or on Monday was using Facebook to access any of their applications that they use for either business or fun, they would not have access to that. So that is one humbug.
Tell you what, Mr. Record, could you just hold that thought, please? You're on to a break. We'll be right back.
All right.
Happy with what we see. We can change that by adding strategic investments that pay us passive income at regular intervals. Salaries are the most labor-intensive way to make money. Becoming a business owner can free up time and add more money, but it still involves labor. Investment money is a gold standard, paying dividends, rent, and other payouts from smart investments without lifting a finger.
Visit barita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
There is an easy way for insurance coverage today with no line in your way. All you have to say is
Genac.com. Everything you have is everything you have. So keep your assets covered and save 10% of your insurance when you renew by visiting Genac.com. You don't need to go into a branch. You can do just about everything online at genac.com. Remember, smart insurance saves. Who knows what tomorrow brings? So future-proof everything.
insurance on the go. Trust the brand that you know.
genac.com.
All you have to say is Genac.com.
General Accident Insurance Company. Future-proofing tomorrow.
Your rundown and fried dumpling tastes extra nice. It's new pack coconut oil you use.
You mean new pack everything? I use new pack coconut milk powder and then new seasonings in the rundown. Them all start sell flour. It's that and the coconut oil sweet up the dumpling.
New pack have more products?
Yes, child. And you know new pack are my brand from a long time.
True. You always talk about the quality and affordability.
Create something special with New Pack. New Pack, more than just value.
Since the start of the year, there have been 600 reports of emotional abuse, 1,203 reports of sexual abuse, 1,465 reports of physical abuse, 2,528 reports of neglect.
Report child abuse. Call 211.
There are a million reasons to want to own a home.
I want more space for the children.
I am tired of paying rent.
My wife and I want an investment.
Go from future plans to keys in hand with an NCB mortgage. Get rates as low as 6.95%, 100% financing, and up to 40 years to repay. Plus, get the life insurance and home insurance you need all in one place. Visit myhome.jncb.com to get started. Conditions apply.
Hey, what if you were in a car accident? How much and how long would it take to get you back on the road? At ICWI, your recovery is our priority. Comprehensive Complete, or newest policy offering, bundles benefits like uninsured motorist protection, excess eliminator, alternative transportation, and more. Avoid unnecessary frustrations when it's time to claim. Ask about Comprehensive Complete from ICWI today. Click, call, or visit us for a free quote.
Act now and register today with the Overseas Examinations Commission as a private candidate for CXC's January 2022 exams. Don't wait. Registration ends Monday, October 25, 2021. Call 876-618-3721 or email help@overseasexams.org.jm for details. The Overseas Examinations Commission, providing educational support for over 130 years with integrity.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this, the second half of the second watch, we are discussing the Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp outages which took place on Monday. And we have online Mr. Christopher Record, CEO of T-Tech Limited, and Mr. Craig Powell, CEO of AdTech. All right. Okay, great. All right. Yes. Okay. Okay, Mr. Record. Before the break, you were telling us about the effects worldwide.
Right. I was going through the numbers and effects, and interesting enough, I'd written an article. I'd written an article for the Digital Life in the Observer, which I was talking about the effects and the numbers, and then there's also some information coming from another article that spoke about the breakdown of the numbers. Facebook 2.9 billion users, WhatsApp 2 billion. Messenger 1.3 billion, and then Instagram around just a little over 1 billion. But then, as I said, collectively, there's a lot of doubling up going on. So you just kind of round it off at 3.5 billion for the entire Facebook family of applications. Effects are, and as my initial thought and my title was, is it a minor pain or a major problem? And the minor pain are for folks like me. I just use it for entertainment and for fun. Whilst other folks use it for business. For example, Craig will get a little bit more in the business part, but a number of us, our families, for those whose grandparents are still alive, that's how they keep in touch with the family, sending messages, pictures, jokes, all of these kind of things. But for others, it's serious business. They have ad spend, they have specific offers being put out. They may be launching a product. It's their entire business, and it's something I've explained to people all the time. I say, don't use Facebook or Instagram as your only storefront. But for some, it's easy. And guess what? Instagram and Facebook makes it easy because they want you, to have your products on here. But guess what? When something like this happens, do you have a backup? Do you have a backup to communicate with your customers? Do you have your own copy, whether it's printed, going back to basics, or a backup in your own digital space of your communication methodology, whether it's phone numbers? We still can call people, everybody WhatsApp everything, everybody send a text, but look, we need to get back to basics sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure Craig, Mr. Powell has a lot to say. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think the first thing is with the personal. Like, I can imagine with 3.5 billion users, essentially someone died yesterday and have learned 7 hours later that their cousin or auntie died, because WhatsApp is the main form of communication for those sort of passings. So that's real.
Right.
Secondly, I'm right now in Colombia, and I use WhatsApp for the majority of my communication to clients for quick calls, especially, and even my team. So I was quite shocked when I couldn't message anybody. And of course, my friends, Instagram DM and Facebook Messenger. So therefore, the majority of communication between young people, and by young people I mean anyone who's a millennial under like 45 years old, is through Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. That's just a fact. And I think also the majority of communication between people who are the generation before is also through WhatsApp. I feel WhatsApp might be the number one communicator for almost all the people in the Caribbean, more so than the cell phone. So to say we have to also question if we can even move back to other behaviors for communication between friends and family, because I actually think Facebook might have a definitive monopoly on communication between friends and family in the Caribbean and in this Western Hemisphere. Because when we lost WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram at the same time, I really felt the inability to communicate with my family in the way that we used to communicate.
What happened to me, Craig?
Huh? For you too,
what happened for me, the instant I realized what's happening, I was like, okay. I mean, luckily for me with my organization, yesterday, today, half of the week I work from home, half of the week I'm in the office. We use Microsoft Teams, so I'm able to just click on a button. I'm still talking to my entire team. Just kind of say, hey guys, all of our WhatsApp groups are offline. No worries. Because one of the decisions I made a while back is to suggest folks, we should use Teams as our primary means of communication. Why? Because Microsoft has built a product. Whether yes, it is still online, right? So if a DNS issue happened with Microsoft, we would still have a problem. But at least there is some sort of a contractual arrangement that we have that this product is under our, let's call it under our management versus another person's land. So in the article that myself and Trevor Forrest wrote on Monday, it came out in Observer today. At the end, it says, look, this outage reminded people or kind of nudged them, you're building your empire on somebody else's land, and you need to think about that, right? And so it's massively important for everybody. That's all they have.
So
yes, I want us to Craig to look at the future. What are the lessons learned? And going forward, what do we do? What are your suggestions, Mr. Paul?
Well, first of all, like Chris, I think everybody who has an organization with 5 or more people should actually invest in some sort of communication technology outside of email. I personally use Slack at Intelligent, and we have about 20-something employees, so we were able to communicate.
Use Slack. You use what?
Slack. It's a corporate instant messaging system that bundles kind of Facebook Messenger / a form / a WhatsApp / it kind of has all those features built in. But we use Zoom corporate for all of our internal meetings and communication. But Slack is where we send all the messages, and then we use ClickUp for task management. So we were okay. But for businesses, small businesses specifically, who most of them use Instagram DMs for communication with their clients, or a restaurant, as you know, would have their menus in those little highlights, and that all would be lost. And WhatsApp for sure is client to client, and also B2C with the business WhatsApp business. I think it's important for people to invest in websites. So a website is your own space, your own land that people can find you always, right? So having Facebook and Instagram is easy, but having your website, yes, a bit harder. But then when all this happens, you still have your storefront. This is online storefront. It's like, if you sell your products in a supermarket, and that's the only where people can find them, and there's no distributor that you can call, then if the supermarket closes, then you're kind of screwed. If you have a website, if Facebook and Instagram go down or something happens in the future, at least you have your website. So my recommendation is now for people who at least have reached a certain stage in their business or are a little bit computer savvy to maybe go online, some of these free website builders like maybe Wix or Squarespace or something, to just put up a simple website for small businesses. And of course, for bigger corporate companies, it's so important. I mean, honestly, we all know that majority of the communication for corporate companies now is actually given through the social media platforms. I mean, the radio, the news, look at the Facebook Live that we're doing right now. Most of the engagement happens on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter afterwards. I mean, not necessarily in even the prime format of reading. So for me, it's just to say, guys, well, look, it's clear to us that we have become dependent on this one company. And if this one company makes a mistake, or like I might believe, purposely pulls down the whole system, right, then we are all affected instantaneously. And that's not something that we can handle. I mean, imagine Jamaica, a small country with 2.7 million people. But remember, 1.8 million users on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp in Jamaica specifically, which is at least half of the country. And for sure, majority of the people are over 18. The reality is we can be just like our whole communication infrastructure can just disappear in an instant.
Just like that.
Literally.
Yeah. What about though, Mr. Record, or private information? How was that? How's that affected?
Dylan, you're opening a whole new can of worms. So you're talking about the recent passage of the Data Protection Act and how that protects us. Look, when you click on that button and you enter in a contract with an organization like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any of these online, you have given an agreement as to what you share. And so your private information is out there. But on the backside, these organizations are mining us. These organizations are taking our information, the demographics. Craig rattled off some demographics around users in Jamaica. But these organizations are taking that, rolling it up into massive business intelligence applications to figure out how we think, how we behave, how we act, and then they're able to sell that information to advertisers to now put
Like
certain
me.
things in front of our eyeballs. Like Craig, that's what Intelligent does. I mean, I
Yes.
work with Intelligent also to do other
Exactly.
things.
So he knows. He knows.
The fact of the matter is that yes, all these organizations do have our private data, but guess what? We give it to them. We're the one willingly typing things in there. They can figure out. These organizations know us better than you know yourself.
It's ridiculous.
Right?
There's over 300,000 data
They
points.
know what we think. They know what we prefer. They know better than we. So, Dylan, that's another argument. We can sit down and have a whole half discussion about
part two. Yeah.
But
listen, gentlemen, we're Craig, we're out of time, but just squeeze in that. What are you saying?
Okay, I was gonna say that to speak very clear, because when you upload stuff to Facebook, inside the contract, you actually grant them what's called a sub-license with royalty-free license with worldwide usage. So technically, you own your content or your information, but you give them a royalty-free sub-license to be able to
leave
give it to anybody and use it anywhere. So that they technically can do whatever they want with it forever. Essentially, that's what the contract says.
Yes.
But we'll leave it there. We have to leave it there. Craig, I knew it wasn't me that you're having some health challenges recently. We thank God. We continue to pray for you. Thank you. All right.
Yes, I'm good. I'm good now.
Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Have a great day. All right. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for a discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information how to get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Ms. Kathy Gale, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint. Hand you back to Love in the Morning with Siobhan Blair.
Program Forward in Faith brought to you by the Portmore New Testament Church